All right, the Kings take care of business to start off this road trip, and this is exactly what should have happened. The final of 123-89, a cakewalk against the Toronto team that is depleted, and Sacramento did what you wanted them to do. They went in, they took care of business, light the beam, and your starters didn't really play that much. The only one that played 30 or more minutes was Keegan, and he played 31 minutes. But Fox and Sabonis played 28. They'll fresh for tomorrow as the Kings take on the Wizards. But that's exactly what you needed, Rhino.
Nailed it, Grant. You talked about the Kings needing to not play more than 30 minutes, their starters. They didn't, as you laid out, and they had a big third quarter that pushed them over the top. But, Grant, they hold another team under 100 points.
I'm not really paying attention to any stats in tonight's game. They didn't hold a team under 100 tonight. They held the G League team under 100 tonight. So I don't pay attention to numbers for games like this. I just don't. I pay attention to the fact that the Kings did exactly what they were supposed to do. They played the way they were supposed to, and nobody got hurt. As far as stats, analytics, they don't mean anything in a game like this. They're meaningless.
Okay, hold on. So you're going to tell me, coming into tonight, you're going to tell me a team that's been wildly inconsistent, coming in tonight, the last 5 games, they have had the second best defensive rating in the NBA.
Like that.
And they do this tonight to a team that they're supposed to do it to?
You know what?
You got to look at that.
I like that. As far as the ratings over the last 5 games, they look good, but I also look at the competition. I mean, you beat a Memphis team that has almost as well, pretty much they're a mirror image of Toronto.
Yes.
And so I'm supposed to go gaga over the fact that the Kings defensive rating also is really good against a team that bad that you needed to go to overtime against. Numbers sometimes can be a little misleading. Again, I don't give a damn about the numbers tonight. I care about the fact that the Kings went up against an inferior team and destroyed them, where not once during a 48-minute time zone, even from the first minute, there wasn't 1 minute of this game where I said, it's the same old Kings. That's what I liked about it.
Exactly right. And especially when the starters came out and the guys from Stockton came in. I've been talking about the player development going on in Stockton this year. And you saw some of it. Jalen Slauson and that very nice dunk. There's flashes of athleticism for these guys. So it's cool to see them get some run because you never know when the Kings may need them.
Yes. And again, tomorrow's the last breather that the Kings have on the schedule. So fans, enjoy this. And enjoy tomorrow night, because the same thing's going to happen tomorrow where the Kings are going to destroy the Wizards. And then after that, it's fasten your seatbelt time. All right. After that, there are 13 games left and there are no breathers on the schedule. So enjoy tonight, as you should. Enjoy tomorrow. Hope that there are no injuries. Hope that Sasha Vezenkov can come back. And then you're ready for the stretch drive where it's the Kings, the Suns, and the Mavs fighting for one spot that guarantees you a playoff. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And if you've been watching the Mavs, they beat the Nuggets one night and then they flirt with mediocre teams too sometimes. So pay attention to them. You brought up an interesting point last night on your open forum show. And let's talk schedule really quick because we got Washington tomorrow. Then you have Orlando on Saturday. You've got Philly at home. So you've got a 1-day break in between a cross-country trip. And then you've got the 2 with Dallas. So Philly, Monday night, Dallas, Tuesday night. Do you rest the starters? You think they should? And I am agreeing with you.
I said I would. The Dallas game counts as 2 games, and you play them twice. And I don't like the Kings' chances, even though Dallas plays Utah the night before the first game. I just don't like the fact that the Kings are going to be playing 3 games in 4 nights, and in between all of that is a cross-country flight in the middle of the night. So if it were me, I don't care what the league says about load management. I wouldn't play my main guys against Philadelphia, or I would start them. And if the game goes awry, they're coming right out of the game.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. And for a team that never load manages, I don't think it's a big deal. And explain to some people that might say, well, Grant, it's just another game, just like the Philly game is. Why is it different?
It's different because you need to beat the Mavs at least once because you would then have the tiebreaker, and it counts as 2 games in the standings, and you're going to have to beat Dallas in order to be a top 6 seed. So to me, The Philly game is important, but it's nowhere near as important as the game the next night.
Yeah, and the Kings have struggled with Philly traditionally. Will Embiid be back? We'll keep our ear to the pavement there,
I don't think
but
so.
I doubt it. But Sasha, that's a guy that could return for the Kings
Yep.
tomorrow night. He went through his first shoot around since his ankle injury since February 11th, yesterday.
Yep. Well, again, I really think that the Kings, if they win tomorrow, which they will, and if they beat Orlando, then I wouldn't play anybody against Philadelphia. That's me
Yeah,
personally. I know they
yeah.
won't do that, but that's what I would do.
Yeah, you were the first person I've heard say that, and we don't hear it much because the thing about the Kings, they play their guys. So with you,
Hey, let me
we'll
let
see
me
what
get to
Mike
this.
Brown does.
This has nothing to do about being in luxury planes, and obviously you're a person that doesn't travel very much. It has nothing to do with that. Okay, here's what it has to do with: the Kings are going to get home. When I mean get home, after they grab their bags and get in their car, and they'll be walking into their homes at about 6 a.m. Eastern time. Okay, it's called the body clock. It's about your body adjusting to a time difference where you will have not even a full day off to get ready for your next game. It has nothing to do about luxury planes. Again, your stupid ass comment where you have no idea what it's like to travel with a team. You have no idea what it's like to fly all night and deal with that. That's the issue. Okay. So, we keep on talking about minutes. I like this game tonight, Ryan, because you didn't have to extend a lot of the guys. And to me, Ryan, tomorrow should be the same way. You're taking on the worst team in the NBA tomorrow. You
Mhm.
should have the same type of a game, in my opinion, where you don't have to play your starters very many minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And even regardless of how the game's going, I would be doing hockey substitutions if I'm Mike Brown because
Yep.
you have enough guys and you got some
Yep.
of the extended subs, some run tonight. Get
Yep.
them in there because just the fresh legs, Grant, the way the Kings want to play, I don't think Washington can sustain that. They
No.
can't.
No, you're absolutely 100% correct. Hey, want to tell you about New Works Plumbing. They've got a fix for you for your plumbing needs and repairs. Just go to sacserviceplumbing.com. That's sacserviceplumbing.com or call the number on your screen. And remember, they're available 24/7 for all of your plumbing needs and repairs. That's New Works Plumbing. They've got a fix for you. Kings roll tonight, 123-89 over the Toronto Raptors.
Yes, they do. And hey, do us a favor if you haven't already, give us a big thumbs up. We would really appreciate it. And subscribe to the channel here. You just got Grant over 7K. So keep it going. You can get some exclusive rants and programming as the season goes along.
Amen to that. Amen to that. We appreciate the messages coming on the chat line. Again, 123-89, the final, a breather for the Kings, and that should be the case tomorrow. As but the Kings won't get to DC after going through customs and everything else, probably until about 2 in the morning. But they are taking on a inferior team tomorrow, and I expect a fairly repetitive performance tomorrow. I'm expecting this type of game tomorrow. I think Washington might score a little bit more, but I think the Kings will win the game tomorrow by 20 or more points.
I think, yeah, I'm with you with the outcome. I think Washington has the personnel and the ability, the way they play, to be a little bit more streaky with the three ball than we saw tonight. But time will tell. Less than
Yep.
24 hours until we will find out. And by the way, we put together this text line for you guys 916-33 or 399-3748. And we've only got a couple texts. Come on, get on it. Do it.
I like
Easiest
that.
way to get on the air. Come on.
Yeah, we got
You
to have
want
a little
to
have some fun,
Yeah, have some fun. We'll get them read, and if you want to leave a voicemail, you can do that too. Maybe it'll show up on the show or a podcast. Grant, we got Perry on with us. You want to see what he has to say about tonight?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Perry, welcome on with Grant and Rhino.
Hey, how we doing, guys? Grant, I used to listen to you as a kid. Just turn the radio on and shoot a basketball around. So I'm glad
Thank
to
you, buddy.
call back in and be on the show myself. So thanks for
Thank
having
you.
me. Hey, I just had a question for you guys. As an NBA team, when do you kind of start getting into your I guess, rotation for the playoffs, that you really drill that down and you feel like you have your guys that are going to be your secret weapons and your, every last little niche, that you need?
Well, injuries will dictate your rotation. Right now, the Kings are really shorthanded without Herter and without Lyles and a guy that was part of the rotation, Sasha Vezenkov. So, rotations will change. Ideally, you would like to not have that be an issue at this juncture of the season. And you said going into the playoffs, the Kings need to make the playoffs. And that's why I think all these games are so important, because you only are guaranteed to make the playoffs if you're 1 through 6. And if you're not 1 through 6, and there's another team that you got to keep an eye on right now, the Rockets. With all of the injuries that the Lakers have, the Rockets could move up to 10. And the reason why that's important, okay, if the Kings are 7 or 8 and they lose that first game, they play the winner of 9-10. And guess what has happened this year when the Kings play the Rockets?
It's not good
news. They haven't won. And so the loser, think about this, that 9-10 game could be Golden State and the Rockets. You want to be top 6 in the West right now. Trust me. So, but your question is interesting, but it will be dictated right now by the injuries. Here's something else about the rotation that you bring up a good question. Ryan, when Sasha comes back, could be tomorrow, could be against Orlando. It's going to be very interesting to see how Mike Brown utilizes him and how many minutes he gives him.
Yeah, it is, with Trey Lyles out. I mean, I think we both agreed on what his role might be had Trey not gotten hurt. But and then even on top of that, Kevin Herter, what's the status with him and how is he used? But I think Sasha has the potential to really affect this team positively, give them a little more explosion on the offensive end, which when they play physical like this, sometimes they don't have that from beyond the arc, which I'm fine with, Napes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
anything
absolutely.
else,
buddy? No, thank you guys. I just I kind of wondered if Keon Ellis is going to be taking that role that kind of Davion played last year in the playoffs for us, and kind of being that spark guy. And I don't know, it's been cool to see him this season. So
thank you, Perry. Appreciate your support and call again. We really do appreciate it. Hey, I want to say thank you to Bruce for the super chat donation. Congratulations to the Kings for already exceeding John Hollinger's prediction of 39 wins for the season. Light the beam. Yes, Bruce, indeed. They should, I'm really thinking that maybe 48, they can match last year's win total. And I think 48, it's going to be right on the cusp of getting them the 6th seed. A lot depends on these 2 games coming up next week against the Dallas Mavericks, because those are big games in the standings.
Yeah, I think everything kind of depends on these next 5 games. That Dallas series is huge. And G1C is going to be up and ready for that. It's been it's been a different atmosphere since the Kings have been playing more physical and more defensive
Fans
styles.
love it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what's the difference? You've seen Kings teams play both ways.
The difference is the fans enjoy that type of basketball because they've had so many years of lackadaisical, horrible defense, no intensity. And the fans of Sacramento, even going back to the 80s, have always loved the blue-collar mentality of going out and playing. That's why players like Michael the Animal Smith were so popular. Randy Brown, so popular. Players like that were always so popular because the fans, Scott Pollard, right? And we can go on and on because the fans just love that type of play. They love that. They always have gravitated towards that in Sacramento.
It's the best. It's fun to watch. There's no doubt. It builds the game into a crescendo and a peak, right? You build up, and you explode. I love it. Hey, we're gonna talk about Bennett. It's brunch season. Grant,
that's right. That's exactly right. It is brunch season, and I wanted to get that in right now before we get to a call because it is a great place for your Saturday and Sunday brunch. You'll enjoy it. If you go to bennettsrestaurants.com, you can make a reservation and more. Check out the menu, their location, Sacramento, Roseville, and this West Side Grill in Rockland. Weekend brunch. They have the weekend prime rib, prime steaks there. I mean, their seafood and steaks are incredible. They have the prime seafood and steak. They have 60 different types of wine available by the glass. Go to bennettsrestaurants.com. That's bennettsrestaurants.com. All right, buddy, you want to get to another call?
Yeah, let's do it. The Kings are now 12-4 on the season when they have 10 or more steals. We bring in Dan. Welcome to the show. Hey, Dan,
Can
turn
you hear
your
me?
TV down.
Oh, you can. Oh, I am so sorry.
No worries. There you go.
I didn't know it was working. This is the first time I've called. I had been wanting to call for a long time. I wanted to say, just mostly to Grant, that I was a 9-year-old boy listening to Tom Curran on KFBK, man, all those things that you guys talked about. And I was just, in your past deals, I had heard that, and I was like, man, that's my childhood, Kings basketball. And I was wondering for you, Grant, I wanted to ask you this
Yeah.
question, and this is do you remember when the Kings when they first came to Sacramento and they would play a couple exhibition games like over at ARC, and some of them were even up as north as Shasta College in Reading?
Well,
And
I did not move to Sacramento until 1987, and the Kings moved to Sacramento in 1985. But when I moved to Sacramento, I do remember them playing in some local gyms because you didn't have the facilities back
yeah,
then. And so I remember playing. The Kings actually had training camp one year up at Yuba College and some other areas. But yes, I remember the actual like Consumnes River College. I know they had a big deal there when they moved from Kansas City, but it was fun back then. I mean, the town just gravitated towards this franchise, and I remember this is interesting. One of the first stories I did on the Kings was in the fall of 1987 when I was working for Channel 31. And I remember going out to the box office at the original Arco on North Market Street, the 10,333 seat structure. And I remember doing a story because individual game tickets were going on sale. And there had been fans that were camping out, many fans with their lounge chairs and their tents. And they had been there for 3 days waiting for the box office to open. I'll never forget doing that story. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I thought I was like at, Tobacco Road getting ready for a Duke, North Carolina game with the tickets going on sale. Fans were literally camped out for 2 and 3 days so they could get
oh,
tickets to go to a game
I
at
remember
the
as a
regional Arco.
child, it was hands down one of the best times in my life. The Kings, a team came to Sacramento, and my mother liked basketball. She grew up in Los Angeles, and she hated the Lakers and loved the Celtics. She loved Bill Russell, so she got me into it, and I've loved it. And I miss hearing your call. I'm very disappointed. I believe the Kings are good again, and I believe that you deserved to be on the call
Thank
when
you.
they got good again. That
Thank you.
irritates the heck out of me. But this
Well,
version of the team,
I
I love
appreciate
them.
your support.
Yeah, I've listened to you forever. I've just kind of never called, but I've always listened, and that's one thing that kind of just chaps my ass. You guys should have been around to enjoy the successes,
Well,
not
thank you.
you know.
Thank you very much. And call again, okay?
All right, man. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you, man. Really appreciate the
Yep.
support. I also appreciate Mike on the super chat with the donation. Light the beam. Shout out to Keegan and his rebounding ability. Love the content, fellas. Grant, you're truly a legend. Mike, thank you for your support. Greatly appreciate it. And to everyone else that donates on the super chat. Let's talk a little bit more about Keegan. He's doing everything except for scoring right now. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not necessarily a bad thing. I make the analogy of a baseball player who might be struggling at the plate, but is a Gold Glove fielder. He does many other things to help you win. And I think Keegan's doing that right now. His offense is struggling. There's no question about that. But, I mean, there's no other aspects of his game that's struggling. He's playing good defense. He's being very active. He's rebounding. I mean, he's doing all the little things. He's just not shooting the ball well.
Keon Ellis might be the guy that's pulled this defense together or pulled that unit together for this run we're seeing right now. But Keegan Murray's the leader of that defense. There's no doubt
Yep.
about it. When the Kings need a
Yep.
charge, when they need somebody to make a big play, he is there. And coming off of how he played last year defensively, not that it was bad, just this year's so much better. It's really special to see now. Grant, he's got to get shots. He has to get shots, and he's got to get in the gym. I'm not talking about in the games. He's got to get in the gym and get that shot figured out. To me, it doesn't look right. The arc is not there.
Well, I also think that if the Kings do make it into the top 6, I don't think they will succeed in the first round without Murray's offense. As good as he is doing other things,
Yes, I agree.
they're going to need it. They're going to need it.
You're spot on. Alex, we're going to get to you in one sec, but Grant, I want you to think about this because We talked to Jerry about this earlier in the season. Tonight, the Kings fast break, they dominated 36-20, right? But that usually goes hand in hand with the steals. And we had asked Jerry if one of the problems with the Kings fast break this year was Domas was running it too much. Well, now you have 3 guards up there up top getting deflections, and the fast break for this team looks completely different.
Yeah. Jerry made that point at halftime. He likes the 3-guard look. And I think
Yes.
with the way the NBA game is played now, for lack of a better term, positionless basketball, and the fact that you don't have dominant low post players like you used to, that does work. So, yeah, it's a very good point. We appreciate you taking the call. So we can't take your call without you making the effort. So thank you very much. This team right now is playing differently than they did for the first 2/3 of the season. So it's a different look. And I think it's for the better. I think it tends to be a more successful style of basketball, but I'm hesitating a little bit because the meat of the schedule starts on Saturday in Orlando. So that's when I'm really going to start judging this team in the final 13 games, because Orlando, Philadelphia, Dallas, the road trip coming up at the Knicks, at the Celtics, Oklahoma City's on that trip.
Yes.
We're gonna find out who are the real Kings in these final games.
Yeah, we are going to find out who the real Kings are. There's no doubt about that. I think the thing that I'm most interested in, looking at the way that they're lining up defensively, they're taking more risks. And as they take more risks and as they play as a team, their confidence grows. So we've seen that against poor teams. And like you said, that stretch is coming up. I can't wait to see it when we see
Well,
Dallas.
and we're either going to be really excited or really disappointed. Because I'll tell you this, you can talk about the style any way you want. If the Kings are not 6, because I don't think they're going to be 5. If they're not 6, what the people are going to be nervous as all heck when the play-in tournament starts. They're going to be on the edge of their seats, and they're not going to have that much confidence. But if you're 6 with this schedule that you have, you will have earned that 6th spot if you finish ahead of Phoenix or Dallas. And then you're in a really good place, because to me, other than Denver, I think the Kings could compete with any team in the West in the first round of the playoffs. I really mean that. And I'm well aware that they won 3 games against Denver this year, but they didn't see Denver healthy until they lost to them the last time. They're not going to beat Denver in the playoffs. I could see them beating Minnesota in the playoffs. I could see them beating Oklahoma City in the playoffs. The Clippers, to me, are a team in flux right now with all of their injuries. We'll see if they get back on track. I don't like the matchup when the Clippers are healthy, but I'd give the Kings almost a coin flip chance against Minnesota. I really would.
Yeah, I would. And I actually disagree about Denver. I think Sabonis, because he plays the style like Jokic, he presents a very unique matchup for Jokic. Sometimes they almost cancel each other out at times. So I think with this style, it could be different. Let's ask Alex what he thinks. Alex, welcome on to the show with Grant and Rhino.
Hey guys, how you guys doing?
How are you?
Excellent.
Good. Just want to not too much today. Just want to say I'm kind of happy to see Keon's intangibles in the game. He likes to deflect balls and get some blocks. He's kind of scrappy, I guess, for lack of a better term. He's real scrappy in the lineup. So I like seeing that. I'm of course glad about the win. Today was pretty, for the most part, an easy game. Also, I just want to say too, shout out to Ryan. I feel like from the beginning of the season to now, you're making like crazy strides as far as not just a co-host but a regular host when Grant's not available. So great job, Ryan. And Grant, just keep being a legend. I laughed super hard earlier when you said you called up the guy making a stupid ass comment. I was choking on water when you said that. So just keep being yourself, man. You guys are doing tremendous.
We appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Alex is great. Thank you. Have a great night, Alex.
You too, guys.
And I agree with you about my co-host. I totally agree with you.
Thank you.
When I'm not available to do the show, I don't even worry about it. I know he's got it handled 100%. So appreciate the words. See there, Ryan, you got your fans there patting you on the back.
Hey, I'm trying, Napes. I'm trying to pay my dues, and I just enjoy being up here with all of you. It is a fun time, no doubt.
Hey, I want to tell you, I love it. I want to tell you about Blazona Development and CalusaSunrise.com. If you go to Blazona Development, you'll see their projects, and Sunrise Landing in Calusa is awesome. They have 6 models to choose from, beautiful homes on beautiful sites. Phase 1's already sold out. Go to CalusaSunrise.com and check out these homes and everything else. Great proximity to major arteries such as I-5 and Highway 20. It is Sunrise Landing and Calusa. And again, if you go to CalusaSunrise.com, you will find all the information you need. That is Sunrise Landing in Calusa. Kings roll tonight, 123-89 over the Toronto Raptors. The Wizards are up next. Ryan tomorrow will have the pregame. Jerry joins us at halftime, and we'll be right back here in 24 hours on the postgame show.
Looking forward to it. Can't wait. This guy thinks I'm going to be buying him dinner, Grant. He might be right. We'll see. Zach, welcome in.
Hey, the one thing that was just kind of that just kind of sucked about that game is that Sasha was injured. You know, it's kind of a game that you would like to see like a player like Sasha just kind of get up reps.
Yeah.
Because I just remember, like, Grant, when you used to call games for players like Sasha's position, when they were injured, you would always like get down and be like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity for this player. And Grant, in your 32 years that you covered the NBA, for players that are like, you know, good to elite shooters, when they go through funks like Murray and Herter for like weeks on end, what are the usual causes for that? Mental?
Yep, right up there in your head mostly. Now, Ryan might be detecting, a little bit of a flaw in Murray's mechanics, but I think when I see a player like Kevin Herter, who's got a much larger resume than Keegan Murray, so I'm not even going to include Murray in this right now, because to me, Keegan's offense has always been inconsistent, and I really mean that, always. And I mean always. I'm talking about from the first time I saw him play in his rookie year. He goes through these stretches, whereas before Kevin Herter got to Sacramento, I mean, he was a very consistent shooter. I even thought last year more consistent. So to me, I just think it's mental. And I'll tell you something else about Kevin. Kevin tends to get down on himself. I think he's his own worst enemy when the first shot or two of a game does not go in. I notice it in his body language. I look at him on the bench. And I just think, again, right up here, I think it's more mental than anything else, because Kevin Herter's got a really good stroke. I mean, I watched him. I mean, he shoots the ball beautifully. It's just not going in a lot of times.
No, but Grant, wouldn't you agree? I want to ask this too, Zach. Shooters are different, right? A pure shooter like Kevin Herter, it's a different thing rather than somebody like Domantas Sabonis.
Yes, it is different. It is different. But I also look at player's track record, right? So, like, for instance, if I'm watching baseball and I see a player in their prime who for the previous 3 years has had, a 285 to 290 average with 85 RBIs and good on base percentage, and then all of a sudden in that 4th year, their numbers drop off significantly, what's the difference, right? I mean, I've already seen it for a number of years. So like with Kevin Herter, I've seen that level of consistency with the Hawks, and really to a degree last year. And I thought maybe towards the end of last year is when it started to drop off. And I thought in the playoffs particularly, and it's carried over to this year. And that just tells me it's between the ears. That's how I feel about Herter. Murray, I'm not ready to say that. I don't think it's between Keegan Murray's ears. Personally, and I know a lot of people aren't going to appreciate me saying this, I think his offense is overvalued. I think we overvalue his offense. I don't think he is as good as how do I want to say this? He's not as good offensively as everyone makes him out to be. I think he's a very good player. I think he's invaluable to what the Kings do because of his leadership quietly, his defense, the way he plays defense. Ryan made a good point. He's the leader of the defensive unit. He rebounds for the most part pretty well. I think we overrate him as an offensive player. And the reason why I say that, he's way too inconsistent offensively for me. Way too inconsistent.
Gotcha.
Good point. It's a good point. I guess with Keegan, he looks like to me, and this is just off the small sample size, and tell me if you disagree, guys. He would be the guy that has a 10, 15-year career in the NBA, gets a couple rings, has just solid career, right? But he's
Yes.
not the guy that's ever going to beat you in a one-on-one game. Speaking of his offense, it just at least at this point in his game. And so I just think he plays a great role, and if he grows into
Yes.
that, it's what the team needs.
I think I'll answer the question this way about Keegan. Every team in the league would love to have Keegan Murray.
Yeah.
Every team.
I see Keegan Murray can be like a 2-3-time All-Star and very good in this league for a long time, but he just has to, put it together and become consistent. I mean, I think we got to be patient. I mean, we can give many examples, but there's so many players in this league where it takes them 3, 4, 5 years to become a star. So if the Kings are patient, I think he can get there, but they're going to have to take their time.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate your phone call.
Thanks,
Have a
Zach.
good evening. Listen, I'm not down on Keegan at all. I hope people aren't misconstruing what I'm saying, because I think he does so many great things for this franchise, and I do mean great. I think he is, everyone likes to talk about Fox and Sabonis, and rightfully so, and Monk, I mean, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But Keegan does so many things that help you succeed without even scoring the ball. He's that type of a player.
100%. And he's got the next step. And we've heard a lot about him being more vocal, him taking more of a leadership role at times behind the scenes. If I'm Keegan Murray, I'm sitting Keon Ellis right next to me, and I'm getting him up to speed, because Keon Ellis is now the Keegan Murray of the Kings offense this year. In this, Keegan Murray spotted up all year last year from beyond the 3-point line. That's all that Keon's going to have to do for this offense. So teach it, spread it. And you're right, Nibs.
Hey, I want to tell you about Fosters and Paws, a group of animal advocates. And right now, as of 2 days ago, they had 20 puppies available for adoption. And in a couple of weeks, they're going to have 70 puppies available for adoption. Again, a group of animal advocates. They do a great job. And if you're interested in one of those puppies, just go to fostersandpaws.org/adopt. That's fostersandpaws.org/adopt. Sacramento, 123. Toronto, 89. And we'll do it all over again tomorrow in the nation's capital against the worst team in the NBA. Of course, the last time the Kings played the worst team in the NBA record-wise, they lost. That was Detroit. But now the Washington Wizards, they're horrible. I mean, they're worse than Toronto. So you got to go in there and you got to stomp them. Absolutely stomp them.
Yeah. The Kings got to be ready for them. I think they will be ready for them. And they handle business. Get into the USA as quickly as possible right now.
Yes. And, going through customs is a pain in the neck. It is. I mean, they don't get special privileges because they're an NBA team when they leave the country. So it's very time consuming. Again, I'm not nitpicking. I'm just telling you because I did it every year.
Yeah. It seems like a weird.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, it seems just like a weird back-to-back. Why? Because you have to do the customs thing. It's an hour 35 flight. I mean,
it's very bizarre. And the other aspect of it is, again, don't jump on me for this. The walk from the front door of where you enter, when you go through your initial security, then you actually stand in a long line to go through the immigration. Okay. Then you have to go through security again. And then the walk is forever. And then when you get to the gate, very often they're waiting for clearance and you're not even able to get on the plane. You have to sit in a waiting area very often. I mean, I'm just telling you, it is it's not hard process. I don't want you to misconstrue what I'm saying.
There's nothing you can do to speed it up.
It's time consuming. Correct. There's nothing you can do to speed it up. That's very well said.
You just got to deal with it. It's like if you're stuck on the tarmac, which I'm sure you've had that problem a few times.
Yes, I have.
So a lot of people, I know you got this question on your open forum last night. You didn't want to talk about it, but a lot of talk about Malik Monk and re-signing him.
Yeah.
The Kings are now 19-6 this season when he scores 20 or more points.
That's pretty good. Well, I mean,
Oh,
the
excuse
Kings,
me. Excuse me, 18-6 when he scores 20 or more points.
the Kings would nowhere near a automatic 6 team without Monk. They would be
No.
9 or 10 if they were lucky. I mean, so I can't really picture the Kings without Malik Monk next year, but that's what the offseason is for. And you'll approach that when you get done with the season. That's where you're at.
Yeah, there was some stuff released today, some comments that Malik had about staying, and it'll get dealt with there. I think the only thing I would tell Sacramento is this team's positioned fairly well in terms of the new CBA, and there's
Yep.
only about 9 teams as of right now that would have a mid-level exception next year, which means if they wanted to try to pay Malik what the Kings can, they would go into the luxury tax.
Yeah. Again, here's the other part. Does Malik want to stay in Sacramento?
He seems to. I mean, that was kind of, and I'm paraphrasing his comments. He loves this city. He loves this team. And out of the handful of teams that conceivably could get him, I think the name that keeps coming up is the team we're about to see in a couple games, Orlando.
All right. And the other aspect of this, could his opinion change if the Kings don't make the playoffs?
I don't think it does. I think what it becomes for Malik is which way does he want his career to go, right? Do you want to be the 6th man? Do you want to be the new Bobby Jackson of this Kings fan generation? Or do you want to try to be a starter? Because in Sacramento, he's not. And if Grant, he was ever going to be a starter, I would have thought it happened this year with all the injuries.
That's a really good point. Listen, I've done this a long time, and I know you know this as well. And maybe some of our younger viewers may not, but most of you know this. The grass is not always greener on the other side. And I've seen players who are in a really good situation try to change their situation because of a couple more dollars, and their career spirals. And yeah, they have the money, but they're not happy because their role has changed. Maybe they're with a coach that doesn't use them the same way they want to be used. They don't like the system that they thought they were going into. There are a lot of variables. Sometimes it works out very well, but there are other times where a player thinks it's going to be better and it's not.
Great point, Napes. And the other thing, if you don't know, Malik at one point was not in the NBA. He was floating around the G League and had to come back. So that's a tough thing, right?
I'll give you one player right now, Mitch Richmond. He was wanted out of Sacramento at the end. He was a malcontent. He was unprofessional. And, he got dealt. And Mitch Richmond was never the same player again. So, again, there are examples. And, again, there are also examples of it working the other way. But, listen, the Sacramento Kings are really good for Malik, and Malik's really good for the Sacramento Kings. Yes. And you hope that it's a marriage that can stay together. Hey, I want to tell you about Gold Country Veterinary Hospital, located in Auburn, serving the foothills, Roseville, and the greater Sacramento area. They're full-service veterinarian medicine. They do dentistry, surgery, wellness care. They're dedicated to urgent care. They have advanced internal medicine, full surgical care, from spay-neuter packages to advanced orthopedic procedures such as ACLs. They do fracture repairs, dentistry, and so much more. They're also very proud of their pain management protocols for maximizing faster recovery, and they do have the most modern technology. Keep in mind, for your pet, Gold Country Veterinarian Hospital. Well, the Kings roll tonight, and they need to roll tomorrow night when they take on the Wizards.
Yeah, the Wizards, who have lost 5 straight, Grant, and 21 of 23.
Here's another great one, Bonzi Wells. Very good one. Bonzi Wells turned down a $30+ million contract, and before he knew it, he was playing in China and had no NBA future. So, again, it's you just got to be careful. Monk's going to get his money. Okay, let's first of all acknowledge he's going to get paid. It's either going to be in Sacramento or somewhere else, but he's not going to be left on the sidelines. He's going to get paid.
No, Monk's going to get paid, and it comes down to roll, Grant. You nailed it tonight. It comes down to roll.
Yeah. And his role right now is pretty darn good. You know why, Ryan? He's on the floor at the end of every close game, correct? I mean, he's not starting, but he's playing a lot of minutes. He's scoring a lot, and he's on the floor when the game matters, right?
Yeah, he, maybe it was because it was a contract year, but Malik's work ethic, and it was never bad, but it changed a little bit this year, and you see it paying off in the trust that Mike Brown's having with him on the court at the end of the games. And he's the spark plug, Grant. I mean, he's really, for all intents and purposes, to me, their third best player.
All right, the Kings breeze. Any final thoughts, Ryan?
Take care of business tomorrow, Napes. Take care of business.
Yep, I'm with you. Same thing as tonight. Do not let the Wizards hanging around. They are a bad team, worst record in the NBA, because you got the schedule gets really difficult starting on Saturday against Orlando. Hope you can join us tomorrow. If you have not yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up as always. Appreciate the super chat donations. Appreciate your support. Appreciate you being with us for all of our programming, and we'll do it again tomorrow. Hey, we got what you get? All my content up there on a little QR code?
Yeah, I got your content on a QR code. Go check it out. You get some exclusive rants. I think Grant doing some play-by-play for a turtle might be there. You got to go check it out. So subscribe. And then if you don't mind, do me a favor, go check out my daily podcast. That is the King's Court. We get you out in about 15 minutes. And go listen to the deposition of Ryan in Sacktown if you're only going to check out one episode.
Sounds great. Have a good evening, everyone. Light the beam. Kings roll. We'll see you tomorrow.